Hello, dear listener, and welcome to the Elixir Podcast. My name is Jackie, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to connect with you. The intention of this podcast, as it organically unfolds, is to cultivate an experience through the alchemy of storytelling, an opportunity to align with our own rhythm and muse, a listening ritual to inspire and re-inspire, catching glimpses of ourselves in each other. Let's begin our time together by taking 3 collective breaths. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Futureman Wooten is an inventor, musician, and composer. He is a 6-time Grammy Award-winning performer with Béla Fleck and the Flecktones. For the Flecktones, Futureman plays the Drumitar, a guitar synthesizer he has invented to play drum and percussion sounds, and occasionally performs vocals as well. His solo albums are experimental and incorporate diverse musical genres and concepts. My husband Brett has been taking virtual lessons with Roy for the past year, and several months ago, we had the incredibly memorable opportunity to meet with him and his brother Reggie Wooten in their Nashville home. We spent that cosmic evening talking about everything from Shakespeare to Coltrane. They are both such natural teachers and storytellers. I'm beyond grateful that when asked to be on the show, he said yes. Before this episode begins, I wanted to share with you something that just got announced today. On April 1st and 2nd, I am leading EFFLORESCE, a dreamingMUSE rendezvous at Dreamers by DW in Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm partnering with a gourmet vegan chef and creative for a women's weekend gathering to spark the muses and shed light on the daydream. If you're down to join us or want to learn more, check out the link in the show notes. Also, I've recently joined the Green Compass team of CBD advocates. Honestly, after trying out their CBD tincture and noticing how it made my mind feel like a calm ocean and super focused, I looked into it, and not only is it certified organic, but it's also a company that was founded in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is where I live, and the farm is close by. If you're curious about CBD or interested in trying some, I'll add that link in the show notes too. Feel free to reach out to me personally as well. They even have CBD for dogs, which I'm totally going to get for my dog Samson once concert season comes around, because he gets so nervous about the fireworks they do after the show. We live really close to an amphitheater, and you can hear not only the concert, but the fireworks really loudly afterwards. So thank you so much for being a supporter of Elixir Podcast. It is because of you that I stay inspired and get to talk to such amazing guests. If you love listening to the show, please spread the word and rate a review on whichever platform you're listening on. All right, and now, my conversation with Roy Futureman Wooten. So I thought we could start out by, we'll just kind of see where the conversation takes us. But
Sweet.
As far as just like thinking about your first, there's so much music in your life. Thinking about like, what is your first memory with music that you can think of when you think of music, and like the seed that was planted for you?
Well, one thing, if I just think back to just the earliest stuff that I remember, is that we just had a intense love for music, and this was like, I'm a family of 5 brothers. And we came kind of in 2 packs. It was like me, Reggie is the oldest, who's the teacher. Then there's me, I play the drums, and then there's Rudy, who plays the sax. We were all within a year of each other. Right? For 10 days, me and my oldest brother are the same age for 10 days, And they call that Irish twins or something like that. And then my brother Rudy, I'm October 13th. My brother Rudy comes November 13th, the very next year.
Yeah.
Then there's 3 years, and then there's my brother Joseph, who plays keyboards. He tours with Steve Miller, and then my youngest brother Victor Wooten, who plays the bass. A lot of bass players and musicians know him as one of the greatest people to ever play the bass. So they came in the second group, but in the first group, when you ask about my music, my first thing about music is that we just had an intense love for music. It was intense, and so whatever we got, we could make music with it, you know. And so I remember, like, we would every so often we would get something from the store or something with a straw, and we would bite down on the straw before we even got home, and make a horn out of it. We could blow, and then we get home and we cut holes, 3 holes in there, and we could make a musical instrument out of a soda straw, out of a straw, and the stuff like that. And so when me and my oldest brother Reggie and my brother right under me, Rudy, when we started playing, we sort of taught ourselves to play the instruments that we like. Reg was just always good with guitar. He could just ukulele, whatever. He just always knew how to do it. I wanted to beat on boxes, so I gravitated to drums, you know, and I just make drums out of boxes. It didn't matter. Just boom, 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 right? And Rudy was always good with wind instruments. He would play the flute, the tonette, all these kinds of things, you know. So when we were young, we just loved music, and sometimes we would listen to music in the dark, and it seemed like the music sounded better with the lights off. It's like, whoa, the space was just, the music even sounded better. And then when my brother Joseph came, Vic came, my brother Reggie started teaching Joseph how to play the keys, the piano. He taught him how you could hit 1 note and 2 notes and just get through the whole song. And so with Joseph playing keys, now all we need is a bass player, and we have a band. So when Vic was born, we just gave him the bass, you know, and we were just like, you know, we hope it's a good fit, because you can't force an instrument on someone.
Right.
But even when he was a baby, we say he looks like he has bass hands, you know. And so many years later, we see that it was a good fit. So the earliest memories of music is just this really intense love for it.
Yeah.
And just letting it really embrace our whole lives and really pouring our lives into it.
Wow.
You know?
Do you remember like what you guys used to like listening to in the dark?
Well, yeah. I mean, there would be records and stuff like that. But when we were growing up a long time ago, radio stations weren't so genre based. You wouldn't just listen to one song, hip hop, and then the next song, hip hop, and then the next song, hip hop, and the rotation, hip hop. It wasn't like that. It was like, it was really wide. You know, all of a sudden you're listening to like Dave Brubeck, Take 5. Then you're listening to Hendrix. Then you listen to the Rolling Stones. Then you listen to the Temptations. Then you listen to like Creedence Clearwater Revival. What goes up must come down. Da, 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 da. You know, stuff that you wouldn't even have dialed. Yeah. But it's like, okay. You know what I mean? So we could just listen to the radio, and the radio would kind of feed you stuff that you didn't know that you would like.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And but I can just remember we had a stereo player that had this one light, so the lights would go off when there's just this one light, and we might put a record on and just go through the whole record or something. I'm trying to think of something like, you know, it could be something like James Brown, or you know, that comes to mind. You know, like sitting down and just taking an adventure with James Brown all the way through. You know, stuff like that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, it's just neat to think about music at a young age, and you know where.
Yeah, because there's a somewhat of a fascination and an imagination and an enchantment.
Yeah,
and it's that kind of spirit that we try to hold on to. Like I've heard Victor talk about it when he's written his book, The Music Lesson. Mm-hmm. He's written the first book. Now he has the second book, The Music Lesson Part 2. And, you know, along the way, we see technology and stuff sort of catching up with that love, because for some reason, when they put music on vinyl records, there's a lot of rich sound information that's a little bit richer than what we get when we get the compressed MP3s and stuff. The music has been squashed, but you kind of don't know it. You're just used to hearing music on phones, and it's a little squashed. It's not the full richness. Yeah. And so technology is trying to catch up with that and releasing music at higher and higher sampling rates to where all that richness and fullness comes out again. And so there's a Sonoma technology and another technology that samples so many times per second that the waves don't look digital anymore. The waves look curved like analog waves. And so it's kind of like if you think about digital cameras, and digital cameras don't have, some of them in the beginning they were a little stiff. They didn't have the richness of watching film.
Right.
When people shot movie on film, it just had that But now digital technology is starting to get good where it can kind of give you that a film. And that's what we're talking about with sound.
Yeah.
So the feeling for that is to remember what it felt like when you were a kid. So you were asking about my earliest memories, and it's that feeling of meeting music and music meeting you. And it's just like, wow, then we turn the lights off to try to meet it even closer, and it's that feeling that we're trying to carry all the way through. So many years later, we're trying to pass that on to our audiences and everything, because sometimes it's their first time meeting music and meeting the ideas that music has given to you to share. So, yeah.
Oh, I love that. And I love the inventiveness that you were talking about with the straw and like cutting it and seeing what you had and just making that, making that part of music. And now you've created other instruments, like you still are doing that.
I am still doing that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
yes.
so with the Drumitar that I've seen, you play with live and then also watching videos, was it that same like, ooh, here I have this thing and now I can create an instrument out of it? What was the spark that created that?
Yeah, a lot of times it's like music takes you on a journey. And when you ask that question, it reminds me of a quote that Beethoven said to dig into music or dig into your art until it starts to reveal its secrets. And so along the way with playing drums, I just love playing drums and researching and seeing how the patterns work. It's kind of like if you do ice skating, there's certain exercises and stuff you can do, and it makes you just do more than you knew that you could do. Like, you ever seen an ice skater and they start spinning and their arms are out, and all they do is bring their arms in and they just start spinning faster. No extra effort. They just bring your arms in and whoa, the speed comes up. Well, there are things like that in music that we learn. Like with drum rudiments and drum patterns. I can show you patterns and it'll take you further than you struggling trying to get something done. This pattern will take you on a crucible and take you on a journey. And so music has been like a thing where it's always taking you on a journey. And so on that journey, it's showing you little secrets and stuff. So with me inventing instruments, is to take advantage of a secret or an insight that music has given, but there's not an instrument to give it to you yet. Ooh. There's not an instrument to quite show it to you yet. And so I'm gonna show you what I mean. So okay. All right, I'm gonna take you on a journey. So one of my earliest memories with music as far as drumming is when Victor was 2 years old, my oldest brother Reggie started teaching him. Well, actually, when he was 2, he just started jamming with us, right? Remember, we said, okay, we got a bass player, now we got a band. So we started playing concerts in the yard. And we just gave Reg just gave Vic a Mickey Mouse guitar. Don't worry about the notes, just play along with us. We're playing, and Vic's just in there strumming along with it. He's just in there. Then when he turns 3, Reg actually starts showing him where the notes are. How you put your note here, you get this note, and he starts showing him how to play. This is when he's 3. By the time he's 5, right, he had just learned to sign his name. We're already opening for War, the band War, that has that tune, Slipping in the Darkness. Doom, doom, doom. We're opening for them. Vic's only 5 years old. It's funny. It's funny because in my mind, he was 8. But I met the harmonica player. And we were talking about it, and he said, yeah, I was in War during this time. And I said, okay, well, we opened for you all. And he remembered it. And so we traced the years back and found out Vic was only 5 years old. And we have pictures of Vic signing his autograph, but he had just learned to write his name.
Wow. He played at 5 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's taking solos too. I mean, like, we giving it like this. Man, Victor, the audience don't think you're really playing. They think it's a tape, right? Victor said, no, man, y'all crazy, right? Then he gets a solo. He's doing a solo. He takes the bass off his neck, puts it on the floor, plays it like an upright. The whole thing. Vic been in Showtime for a long time. But anyway, what I'm saying is on this journey, music just takes you on a journey, and before you know it, you're in situations that are growing you. So on this journey, Vic's 5 years old. We're opening War. By the time he's 7 or 8, we're opening for Curtis Mayfield on the Superfly tour. Right? Superfly, boom. And we learned so much from Curtis Mayfield. It's just amazing. Because we love James Brown, fire, hot. But Curtis was like soft and cool. And he played soft the whole night. And we learned something about dynamics we could have never learned, But, okay, I'm rounding to my story. Okay, my story is when I was young, when Curtis Mayfield had a percussion player. He was a conga player, his bongo player. But that bongo player, and my brother Joseph remembered his name. I couldn't remember his name. It's Master Henry Gibson. And this dude would play congas, boom, 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 like that. You think it's percussion. But he would take a melody solo. So in his little bongos, they were the high congas. They weren't the big congas. They were the little ones.
Yeah.
And he had a plastic rototom. A rototom is a tom that you spin, and it makes melody like that. So he would have that mixed inside of his congas. So on the tune Superfly, you'll hear what I'm talking about. But the lesson that I learned right there was that every time he took a solo, it was not just a drum percussion beat solo. It was also a melody solo that you could he would take you with the melody. So on the song, if you ever hear the song Superfly by Curtis Mayfield, you hear a little taste of it. It starts out. He would do that, man. And during the show, they would just back up and give him a spot. And he would just take you on this drum solo that was a melody solo. And I have never let that go. Right there, I was like, oh, the drums can not only take you on a rhythmic journey, they can take you on a melodic journey. Wow. And so right there, that started my quest probably of invention. I'm going to have to invent stuff to get to what I want to do with the melody. But along the way, I'm meeting melodic drummers like Max Roach, jazz drummer, real melodic. But Master Henry Gibson is there. But along the way, my vision of melody is influenced by what Charlie Parker is doing with the melody, what Art Tatum, this great piano, is doing with the melody, and then what drummers are doing with the rudiments, which is they're using all these techniques like the ice skater, bringing their arms in, and they're going like a whirlwind. And I want to bring that whirlwind to the melody. I want to bring the drum whirlwind to the melody. That's the quest I'm on. So with that being said, it's like I've got to invent instruments that can catch the drum rudiments, you know what I mean? Can catch all the and turn that into melody.
Wow.
And so what I need isn't quite there yet. And so that's why you see me experimenting on just seeing if I can just play the drums with my hands. Right? With the Flecktones. People's like, why are you doing that? Right? Why are you doing that? And they think, oh, you just don't want to carry the drums anymore. Oh, you just want to get out front. But no, it's really a seed that went back all the way back to Master Henry Gibson. I'm really on a search for the melody. And when I get to the melody, I want to bring the drums with me. And to get to the melody that I want, I've got to use my fingers like drumsticks. I can't just use the drumsticks like this, right? And so when I say drumsticks, it's beautiful, but the drumstick is back and forth. It's right and left, but the fingers is, I got 5 on the right, 5 things on the right and 5 things on the left that I can run the instruments. I can run these same drum rudiments through all these different fingers, and it takes on a melodic context.
Wow.
So it's kind of like the same rudiments and stuff that I'm learning now are becoming like little compositions. And it's like, I'm really thinking about the melody. So here I am experimenting, playing the drums like a guitar. And everybody's wondering, why are you doing that? You know what I mean? What is going on, right? And I feel like I'm a late bloomer. It's not a late bloomer. It just takes time to get to this idea. Right. But with this new instrument I'm developing, I have it set up to catch all that melody that I'm trying to catch. Going back from Henry Gibson through Max Roach, all these melody, everything I learned from Art Tatum and Charlie Parker, John Coltrane, master melody harmony people, and bringing that to the drums in the spirit of Master Henry Gibson when we were kids. That's the journey I'm on. That's why it takes invention. It takes invention to get there, you know. So do you play piano or anything?
I do, yeah. I play piano and sing and play a little guitar. So yeah.
Okay, so I can give you an example. So I've always said that I see the piano as a drum set now, and the drum set as a piano.
Huh.
Okay, so if you look at a piano and you open it up, inside you hit a key and there's a stick that hits something.
Right.
Ding. So that's like a drumstick. Boom, boom, boom. But they got a whole bunch of them. It's not just 2 drumsticks. There's a drumstick different for every single note. That's very percussive. That's an extreme drum expression.
Yeah.
So much so that you don't even see it as a drum anymore. You know what I mean? But like with the piano, if I was playing the piano, I would also want those notes in my feet. The same way you have, you see B3 players playing the melody and walking the bass in their feet and stuff. But for me, from a drum standpoint, the foot completes some of the patterns. If I'm doing triplets, triple foot, triple foot, right, left foot, right, left foot, right, left foot. And I love to be able to hit this note, that note, and the middle note in my foot to get those triplets running triads between that. You know, the drums go, and I see the piano like this harmonic kind of drum set. Yeah. So I'm on my, again, I'm on my way to the melody, but on the way, I'm doing stuff. So since you play piano, it's like, if you hit any surface, like you you sitting in front of a table,
kind of.
Right, like if you hit that table, you can hit this note, and you can slide the note, right? So I'm getting 2 for each. I'm getting 2 for each hit. So now, if I do this, hopefully I'm gonna set this mic down. Hopefully it won't make too much noise, right? So now all I'm doing is here. I'm going right, left, but every time I hit, I'm slide. Pop, pop. Can you hear the 4?
Yeah.
Right? What I'm doing right there is the equivalent of going da 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 da. But on sticks, you'd have to bounce like this. But here I'm hitting and sliding. Right? So from a piano standpoint, I can go do this. I'm switching fingers.
Yeah.
Right? So my left hand looks kind of like a piano technique. Right? And with piano, it's not made to do it, but Art Tatum did that, sliding from the black keys to the white keys. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you know who Art Tatum is, he had a super speed, but we got a chance to meet Mary Lou Williams. And she hung out with all the players, and Art Tatum befriended her and showed her his secret, how he was getting the speed on the piano, and it was using this type of motion.
Sliding, yeah.
Right? So you know the piano, right? So imagine the C in your thumb, right? Then there's the C sharp, right? Then there's the D, then there's the D sharp and the E. And most time when you do chromatic scales, people are doing those single fingers, right? But Art Tatum is going like this. He's going C with the thumb, hitting the C sharp with the finger and sliding down to the D. Then he hits the D sharp with his next finger and slides down to the E. So it becomes ba ba da slide slide. It's here. Ba slide slide. Da, 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 da. That's the first part of the chromatic step. Ba ba da da. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he's just sliding. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we cross over. 1. And then we got 3 slides. Ba 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 ba. That's the whole chromatic scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 crossover, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 3 slides. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can't wait to try that out. Yeah.
Right. My brother.
You put that on the Drumitar?
Yeah, that's why I have Not the ones that I have now, because for me to get the slides that I want, I've got to set them up in layers. I've got to set them up where I can come down this layer, boom, that layer, next down here, boom, 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 right? But I'm talking about invention now. See what I'm saying? This is invention, but with this invention, just when I get you to do this, now I'm getting you to do something where it would take you a long time to learn to do that on the drums. But here, it's right here. Right? So let me hear you. You're at the edge of a table, right? Just hit your table.
I don't know if you could.
Hit your desk.
Can you hear that?
No.
Portable microphone. Otherwise, I would probably be able to. Maybe on a notebook. Can you hear that? Probably not.
Yeah, no. Sometimes Zoom is set up where it's backing out the background noise.
Yeah.
But this flutter, that rumble, you can get to that pretty quick. I was just going to get you to do that. Just slide with this hand, slide with that hand, and after a while, you'll feel the evenness like a horse gallop.
Right.
When you get that horse gallop, then you can do it with the different fingers.
So you're alternating. So you're basically alternating. I can do it like up here so you can even see it.
Yes.
So you're alternating this finger, this finger. So you're sliding. You're going like that.
Yeah. But you got to go to the edge so you get that pull, so you can hear that other sound. Yes.
Ah, gotcha.
Yes. You got to go to the
alternating. Oh, maybe this way.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yes, I can see it. Yes.
And
feel it? Right.
It's backwards, but yeah, right. I got you.
Right, and then you can start let the other finger take it, get comfortable. Then let the ring finger take it.
Right.
You know, you can even do 4, 2, 3, 4, and then after a while you can go right between fingers. Now it's looking like piano technique.
Right.
Right? And then once we get that, boom, I can start showing you like rudiments and stuff. Just for the audio, what we're doing right here, I'm going right, left, right, left, right, which is a 5-stroke roll. Da 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 da. Now I'm gonna use what I just showed you. Every time I hit, I'm gonna slide. So I go da 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 da, and it doubles the amount of information. It goes from here da, da, da.
Wow.
Goes from here, and I tell people, think of them as horse gallops.
Right.
Now the gallop starts to turn into a little stampede. Yeah, and it becomes a fun, right? It's kind of like the ice skater. We're learning inside stuff. So that's kind of related to Art Tatum and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so even with Brett, I'm showing him where it's on the guitar string like that. Guitar players, the tapping Van Halen stuff, you can tap. And most people are tapping one time, but you can tap and slide every time you tap. Ta, slide. Tapping like that.
Yeah.
You got a little bit more of that stampede. Right? It's become very piano. So I'm extending. To me, all of that's leading me deeper into the melody.
Yeah.
Extending from Master Henry Gibson, I'm moving my way to the melody. And when I get there, I'm coming with a ferocity, man, that people are not gonna quite understand, because it's going to be, I got a lot of insights, because even like, just because I'm doing this interview, I have a stroke, right? I'm going to do it so you can see it, like putting we used to put cards in a bicycle wheel. Yeah. Like little baseball cards with a clothespin. And then when you would ride the bike, it would just start, it would start running. So every time, what I've learned is every time I go down, I'm gonna do it in my left hand. Every time I go down, I was just showing you 2. But once you learn 2, it's easy to do 3.
Right.
It's easy to change it into a 3 gallop. So I'm kind of doing a triplet. Now I'm gonna slide that triplet.
Yeah.
Once you get that, right, those two in my left hand can easily become 3. Instead of going da da, it becomes da da.
Right.
Without much change of thought. So I go from this triplet to this triplet. Now adding the 3rd finger and sliding it, this finger. Da 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 da. Triplet. It doesn't sound like a triplet right now so much though, but right? Yeah. So now, just to show you where I'm going from Master Henry Gibson. So I'm doing the Art Tatum thing, but this is my thing now. I've learned that I can come back up.
I see what you mean.
I'm flamingo catching them on the way back up.
Yeah.
This is a little bit crazy. Da-da, da-da. All downs.
Yeah.
Adding it up. Okay. Triplet. Right? So I'm just doing just like the ice skater. I'm just getting, we get more and more stampede.
Yeah.
You just get more and more stampede, and it's principled. And so this is the journey, right? So this looks very rhythmically, right? For me, all that's melody waiting to happen. Boom, boom, boom. Right? So I have to create an instrument that can catch that. Yeah, see what I'm saying? Because even Art Tatum can catch the sliding down because of the double rows of the black and white keys. But to come back the other way, I got to create something to catch that.
Right. Well, that's the thing. It's like once you understand that concept or you have that insight, then it's like, how do you make that into reality?
Yes. Well, what's nice is I'm already showing other instruments how to do it. See what I'm saying? Because on the guitar, all that stuff is there. When you hit that string, you pull that string, you can come back on that string. This is like, this is Jedi. Well, I said, when we go back the other way, now we're in the feminine mystery.
Right.
Yeah, it's in the spaces or the other space, the negative space, the dark side, as they say. You know what I mean? But not dark as an evil, but dark as the complementary from which light comes. Right, like from the space, everything comes from that space. So we're learning to use that space. When I go down, we got to travel that space to go back down. And I'm just catching that space on the way back down. So it becomes a little bit philosophical at the same time. But because of that philosophical thing, guitar players are sitting right on it and don't know. So it's been fun. I've been showing a few guitar players where that is.
So it's almost like an instrument is like you can access that through different instruments. It's just knowing the access point.
Yeah, this is almost, I'm extending what James Brown said when he said every instrument is a drum. And so I said, now we're just going to look at it as a drum. I'm going to show you where the drums are on this instrument. And when you find the drums, it's going to affect how you do your melody. You know what I mean? It's going to increase where you can take your melody just from your understanding where the drums are on that thing. So it's kind of fun. It's a different way because a lot of times with note instruments, people are looking at the notes so much. Right. They might miss the other side. Just like what I told you about Art Tatum, he's raking on the piano keys. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just like they rake on the guitar, he's raking all over those piano keys. And that's secret. Man, there's no way he's going to tell you that. You know what I mean? Like when we learned that from Mary Lou Williams, she was a jazz piano player. Yeah. And she said Art Tatum showed her her piano seeker. And we were like, what? So now we're waiting to see what it is. Yeah. And she showed it to us, and it was like, oh, that's how he's thinking about the chromatic scale. You know how you learn the chromatic scale in classical music or in school? It's one at a time kind of fingering to get up.
But to be able to, like, he must have figured that out himself, you think? Or
you know, when you meet geniuses, they're gonna show you a simple Occam's razor way that you would never think of. Mm-hmm. See what I'm saying? So you're looking at a genius, right? You're listening to a genius. Now, that's not all he's doing. That's just one of many things what he's doing. And listen what he's doing with it. But basically going up that chromatic scale and going up his scales and stuff, he's utilizing these slides. Right? So his first step is just 2 steps. It's 1, he's getting the 5, and then he's going 1, and he's getting those, 1, 2 slides. Yeah. 1, 2 slides, 1, 3 slides. 1, 2 slide, 1, 3 slides. And you see him, and fingers don't look like they're moving at all. Right. That's what's going on. And we were fortunate to learn that from Mary Lou Williams, right? But that conformed to how I was thinking about drums, being able to slide to get to these double strokes and stuff. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, we're just getting to invention and the path to invention and what it takes you on. So starting from Master Henry Gibson all the way up to the present, there's a reason behind why it's like we're trying to squeeze something out of the instruments that aren't there yet. See? Yeah. So that's the journey. It's a fantastic journey. Yeah. It's a fantastic journey. And really, I'll tell you this. I think that when I'm doing this stuff, like when I'm playing my instrument, when I say I see the piano as a drum set and the drum set as a piano, and the piano is basically a keyboard. I know that I'm kind of working on a keyboard type of technique. Right? But I actually believe I'm actually working on a universal language where everything I do music-wise will apply to language, being able to type language and mathematics really fast, some kind of way. It's some kind of abacus. I don't have all the answers, but I just know that I can get to the typewriter super fast. I can get to those letters like really fast, like a stenographer faster than a stenographer. Faster than shorthand. Yeah. You know what I mean? When you're going over the keys like this, and it's not hard for anyone to do. You're going to be able to, accents, A, E, I, O, U, A, E, I, O, U, A, B, C, D, E, A, B, C, D, G, H, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T, V, W, X, Y, Z, A, E, I, O, U. All the consonants, B, C, D, F, G, H, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T, V, W, X, Y. And if I can just slide to these things, I just think that I'm really working on something like that. Yeah. But I'm just getting it from a musical standpoint, But I think I'm on to something even bigger than just music alone. I think I'm really accessing something from a universal language standpoint.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think also like what you were saying about how everything is a drum and how you're approaching finding the melody in the rhythm and vice versa. It's almost like rhythm is the language.
Yes. Now you hit a big one right there. Yeah. Rhythm actually is the language, because if you look at rhythm is the beginning of every religious or mythological mystery. At the beginning, it's something that corresponds to rhythm. They'll say in the beginning was the word, and they make you think of sound. But before it's sound, it's rhythm. See what I mean? Sound comes out of rhythm, getting so fast that it becomes sound. So in the beginning, it's not so much the sound, and maybe not so much the word. It's some kind of motion. And in all religions, they say that motion moved on the faces of the waters of the deep. See what I mean? It's rhythm. Now let's look at the word rhythm. In the word rhythm, we see the word hymn is hiding inside of the word rhythm. The word hymn is in there. Now, if we look at all hymns, this is what people don't know about hymns. Hymns are all rhythmical. They're all lawfully rhythmical. And what I mean by that is if I say a haiku, right? You heard of a haiku?
Yeah.
A haiku has a form. It's you got to do 5 syllables, next to 7 syllables, next to 5 syllables, and you got a haiku. That's what it is. Well, hymns are like that, but they don't all stick to 5, 7, 5, but they stick to something. Every one of them. right? A lot of times if you have a favorite hymn, you count the syllables and you can figure out what they're doing. Wow. So the common meter of language is 8 syllables that sits next to 6 syllables. Now, when I say common meter, what I mean is like in music, the common meter is just 4. You know what I mean? Like if you go to a drum circle and you just jam, pretty much everywhere in the world, pretty much. If you have a jam circle, the tune is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's just the common place where it is. Most of the music on the radios in 4/4 time. It's kind of like sitting a chair on the floor. Most chairs got 4 legs. Right. You can sit them on 3, but 4 is the common. But in language, 8 syllables that 6 syllables is the vibe. That's the thing that holds it, right? So now let's look at Amazing Grace. Okay. Right? Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. Got it? See that? 8 and 6, that saved a wretch like me. And you hear that cadence. Boom. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. There's a rhythmic crucible that's holding that thing together. And that crucible has a feeling to it, right? That's not the only one. And they all have names like anapestic feet, this kind of thing. I got a whole page out of my mom's hymn book that names all of these different poetic feet that these are. And that's this is this kind of meter. That's the most common meter. And this is important stuff because it's like, if you're working, see, this is what I'm saying. When you know this kind of thing, this is going back to ancient writing and stuff. So even when I look at Star Wars, when I'm teaching this to kids, I'm saying there's room for you to go to Star Wars. That's got all of this franchise. It's based on mythology. But when it comes time for them to introduce their story with all that writing, there's no form. See what I mean? They have no form. They're not writing like the ancient people wrote. The ancient people wrote in these crucibles so that it would stick to you. Yeah. See what I'm saying? Because people are not writing taking notes, taping with their phones and stuff. No, they got to write it in such a way that it sticks. See what I'm saying? So Star Wars is missing that opportunity in the beginning of all of their movies. All of them. You know, it just, if you've seen any of the movies, you see the writing, and I'm always excited to see the movie, but I cannot hold on to what they're saying. And Count Dooku did something. There's no style. There's no rhythm. See what I'm saying? Now, here's where they did get the rhythm. And I think they got it by mistake, because if it wasn't by mistake, I feel like they would have kept doing it. But they say, a long, long time ago, that's 6, in a galaxy far away. 8. Yeah, it's 6 and 8 backwards, but you can feel that. See what I'm saying? Yeah. You can feel that.
Remember it. It's like,
and you remember it too. A long, long time ago in a galaxy far away. You know what I mean? Oh. Right. In my mind, I always hear in a galaxy far, far away. But that's what poetry does. It leaves stuff out and lets you fill it in. Right. But that meter right there, if they would kept writing in that meter, you would remember that story. All of them. But you can't remember one of them now.
You remember
Nobody
that? Remember that part, though.
Yeah, everybody does remember that part. Yes. Right. Right. And so, like, I'm geeking out. We're talking about rhythm. Right. And I said rhythm is hiding the word hymn. Right. So what is the lessons of hymns? Hymns are always rhythm forms. They're forms of rhythm. And the word myth is inside of hymn too, coming back the other way. At the end, you see it. You see a M, you see a Y, you got a T and an H in there. The word myth is in there. So there's story that's on an epic nature, something you have no idea what we're talking about. In the beginning was the word, but we're not really talking about the word like you're thinking about it. Mm-hmm. But the fact that when you hit a rhythm makes a symbol. Now we're talking about cymatics. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've seen cymatics, but cymatics is like this. Hang on, let's do this. So cymatics is like this. Here's a book called water, and sound images.
Ooh.
Right? See that design? See how precise that is?
Yes.
That's as precise as a hymn right there. You couldn't draw that precise if you tried to,
Right.
barehanded.
Right.
But one tone, not even two tones, one tone made that design. Yeah. One frequency. So when it says in the beginning was the word, this is what we're talking about, that rippled on the face of the waters of the deep. And you got, so now we're talking about sound being also architecture at the same time. So we're talking about creating in space. You're not making stuff with hammers and nails. What is it that you do that creates order and structure and form in order?
Right. Rhythm.
Frequency. In the beginning, we got that frequency again. You got that rhythm again. That's what we're talking about, right? So if we look at this now, I'm just taking this to another logical step, right? So I believe that every time we see one of those things, they're a symbol, just like alphabets has symbol. I actually believe there's a symbol of some kind of language. So here goes a page of these cymatics. Each one of them designs is like a crop circle. You know what I mean? You tried to draw it, you couldn't even draw it if you tried.
Right.
But each one of those represents a different frequency.
Wow.
It's just a different tone.
Sure.
To me, that's an alphabet.
Oh, yeah.
You could put an alphabet on there. I believe that that's the language. That's the universal language. When they say music is a universal language, this is why. Because it creates all of these symbols for the different notes.
Wait, so does that book have what each of those notes are for each of
those? Actually, it does. I think it does.
Have you ever tried to play it?
No.
That's really neat.
It's not here, but somewhere in this book, I think it does.
Wow.
Okay, so yeah, okay, this is the back of the book. Wow. It's just giving all of these different patterns. These are just single tones making these kind of architectures. So sound is something more than what we think.
Right.
See what I mean? Now we're getting to the hymnal nature of what's going on. Like hymns are always following a form. But somewhere in this book, I think they do have a
like which note
a breakdown of what note's causing what. You know, because people talk about tuning to A440 and tuning to A432, and there's pictures you can see what design A440 makes, and then you see what design A432 makes. It's slightly a little bit clearer when you tune down to A432. The pattern is like more itself. You know,
it's interesting the importance of water for that.
Yeah.
Because like we are, we're so much water, the earth is water, and it's interesting that water can convey that alphabet.
Yes. Yeah. And again, in the religions they talk about, right? And it said that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, right? And they said it moved upon the face of the waters of the deep, right? So they're painting a picture of something that you gotta grok the whole. What are we talking about? Yeah. It's not that so much the word like we're thinking about, but maybe there is a word connected to these letters. Right. Maybe there is a language connected to there. There's definitely enough symbols for an alphabet.
Right.
Now, I believe what I'm talking about is a conversation with an angel. Somebody's got to break it down. You know what I mean? Like, I can't figure out what it means, but these are principles of creation here. They're all principles of creation. So this is the journey that music is whispering these secrets. Like, son, you think you know something, but we're still getting there. We're still getting there. Just keep going. You're not lost.
Right. And it's also good that you're listening, like you're listening for that. You're not like, I'm done. This is created. I've made the Drumitar done.
No.
You're still a vessel for listening and allowing it to come through you.
Yeah. Because when you listen, there's so much happening in front of you that you don't know. Like, for example, like people say, I'm not musical. I don't know music. I say, but the music is happening whether you know it or not. Okay, so now let's take my speech. Every time we talk, those are all different notes. And we're in microtones now. And it's hard to not talk musically. See what I'm saying? Every time we talk, it's taking a microtonal melody. Now, I'm saying that because in speech is where microtones are natural. They're so natural, it's like the air. You don't even know you're doing it.
Right.
Don't even know you're doing it. Now, by the time classical music and classical composers get it, they're overthinking it. And they're making some crazy tone rolls that don't sound like nothing, right? Right? But when you talk, there's melody inside there.
Mm-hmm.
So part of the magic when you hear hip hop making these hits, if you listen to all of their microtonal melodies, there's a melody going on with them too. And they don't even know this. They know it unconsciously. But I'm just saying, everyone's melody is slightly different. Snoop's melody is different than Jay-Z's melody. If you tune into it.
Yeah.
Right, and it's microtonal and it's natural. It's not stiff like classical composers who are overthinking everything. Right, it's so natural, so natural. Da 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 da. It's so natural. See what I mean? And a lot of those notes are not on the piano; they're closer. So as a drummer, I feel like I'm tuned to that. Because drums, you tune like that. You don't tune do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do all the time. You just crank it till it sounds good with itself. You know, I'm in drum language now.
Yeah.
So part of the stuff I'm going to be investigating when I'm playing all these notes is investigating other tunings and stuff that are closer than the chromatic scale.
Wow.
Yeah. Right. It's a journey. It's very rich artistic journey here. And so there's these deep whys. And so what I was going to drive at too, like when I got to my keyboards, right? My keyboards, because I see the piano as a keyboard. Now I see the keyboard as a drum set and the drum set as a keyboard, as a piano. I see them interchanging. But that keyboard, we could be talking about language or music. But I see language too connected to it all. Mm-hmm. So along the way, when I did my first piano, I called it the Royale. My second one, I call it the Dorothy Gray. And that's named after my mom. And the reason why is because my second keyboard, my keys got closer to where it started to look like a typewriter. Old school typewriter had those rows. And they had the hammers just like the keyboard, like the piano. You hit, and there's a hammer that hits the page. Now, because of those hammers, people were getting so fast that the hammers couldn't keep up. So they created the QWERTY keyboard that we use now to slow people down.
Huh.
Yes, the system that we're using now is not the best system. It was a system to slow people down because it was moving too fast with them hammers. So with the Q, R, T, S, however they got it laid on the keyboard, it's not logical. It's not made for the best ergonomic essence.
Yeah.
Yeah, they call it the QWERTY.
Did your mom type, or was she?
Yeah, the way my keyboard connects to my mom is because my mom taught herself to type. Right, they were poor, right? She's taking typing, but she doesn't have her own typewriter. So she's taking typing at school is the only time she gets on the typewriter. Yeah. And she made a contest with herself that she wanted to be able to type as fast as the teacher. But she doesn't have a typewriter. So what did she do? She created a pad with her notes on there, right? And I remember I was telling the story, and my mom said, well, you forgot that I made my board to look up on the wall with the letters, you know, that whatever I'm writing, so I don't look at my hands. So she made that. But basically, she made something for her to practice on the farm. And it's in that spirit of invention, like what we've been talking about this whole interview, yeah. Right? We're making straws, we're making instruments out of soda straws, whatever you got. Yeah. Before I had a drum set, I was beating on boxes. So now I'm trying to invent another instrument, right? And so I'm laying out, like I told you that when I'm doing my keyboard, I actually know there's language there. So I'm practicing, I'm making a keyboard for myself the way that I think that language would lay out under my fingers. Like when I'm showing you all that, the way that I think language would lay out, I made a board for me to practice on, the language part of it. Right. To be able to type language. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, all the vowels are in my thumb. You know what I'm saying? And that makes me be able to type any word with either hand. So theoretically, I could say this sentence in one hand and type this sentence in that hand, like Bach counterpoint. You know what I mean? And that would be more than you could even say. And when I'm playing the music, here's the journey. So when I'm basically, by fusing it all together, seeing music as a universal language and language as its own language, right? So in my mind, when I see the T, I want to play the T. See what I'm saying? When I see, I'm looking at a keyboard right now. When I see the H, I want to be able to hit that H and hear. When I hit the S, I want to be able to hit that S and go.
Oh, I hear you. Yeah.
When I hit the T, I want. When I hit the D, and so in just, Can
you imagine if it worked that way when you were typing?
Yes, right. And probably that could be a mode that it goes into, which is talking mode. I could see an app doing that, right? But now if I see an E, there'd be E, a long E, and a short E. Right? So now we've got all the things. So if I say bad, I'm going to hit the the short A. Bad, and I'm gonna find the D. Yeah. And you see the rhythm of the word has a rhythm to it. Bad, right? But you also see some of the consonants last, like a S. When you know, an S has a sustain to it. Yeah. A T doesn't have a sustain. A D doesn't have a sustain. A H has a sustain to it. M could have a sustain to it. Right. Right. So now we're getting inside a language, right? Now we're creating a board that you could talk with. Now, who might need that right there? Well, somebody that right now, only option that you got is sign language if you don't know how to talk. You can do sign language, right? But what I'm trying to do is create an instrument. You can put a voice to it and you could play what you're trying to say. You know what I mean? And where I have it, you could say this over here and say this at the same time, you know, because you could do counterpoint, contrapuntal stuff. And create a virtuoso look into language. And so that's something I've been thinking about for a long time. But that's why I named my second keyboard the Dorothy Gray, because I know my instrument's starting to look like a typewriter and I'm moving to language. And my mom made her own typewriter. And so in the spirit of that, you know what I mean? It's in the spirit of that I'm creating on that same spirit. I'm just making the instrument up. You know what I mean? I'm just making it up so that I can get to something. I can get to the music. I can get to the slides. I can get to the drums. And I can get to the melody. And I can get to the language. See what I mean? I'm going to be able to get to the language on this keyboard. And I believe I'm going to be able to get to mathematics. Like an abacus.
Right.
Yeah. So this is music whispering journey. It's bigger than me. But, I think that's the journey that I'm on. So when people say, oh, you did it just to... not to carry the drums around. I was like, well, no, that's not really quite the answer. It's not really quite the answer. Yeah.
Wow. So you're currently working on building an instrument too, or are you kind of these concepts?
I got a brand new instrument that I'm working on. I think I showed Brett. I don't know if I showed you, but on the new instrument that I can access all the stuff that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is
you don't have to share your secret though now if it's
all right. It's got this kind of vibe.
Oh, whoa.
Right? There's a lot to it, right? You see little two keyboards. Right. There's a keyboard where I can rake with my right hand and I can rake with my left hand.
Right.
And they've all got these little ridges in there, like I'm telling you about. Everything I learned from my pianos is in we did this. This is the piano. This is the instrument unfinished, right? And we did it in this Jimi Hendrix vibe, right? It has the spirit of Jimi Hendrix, right? So much so that I'm gonna create a souvenir shot that has Jimmy like that and me like that. See what I mean? It's the same vibe. The photographer saw it too, right?
Wow. Is it a stringed instrument? I can't tell.
It's not strings. I'll show you. The strings are ridges.
Oh.
Right. So when I told you the keyboard,
right.
When I have you sliding off the desk, I have those stair steps.
Got it.
Each hole is a different pad, a small pad. And so I can slide like a washboard type of thing. Yeah, so I can get that percussion, pop, 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 by sliding. So I'm gonna be accessing the rudiments and the melody in a very advanced way. This is Master Henry Gibson gone future to 10.0. Right? Right. And so in my left hand, the ridges go so that I can slide down this way. Okay. But notice I'm very greedy. I've got one in my right hand too. And they're going up so I can go this way. So because what I've learned from drums, these are small pads. Mm-hmm. So if I have a snare drum right there, I don't want to reach for my left hand to come over here at that sound. Whatever I have over here, I'm going to have over there.
I gotcha.
Right. So that's why I have two.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I have two.
Man.
Right. That's what's going on. And then because you play piano, you might understand this. But when I play piano and I'm doing my rudiments, like if I go little finger to first finger, they run into each other. Yeah. But as soon as I bring this to the guitar neck, now they all run in the same way. And melodically, I just know where I'm at. See what I mean? Now when I go little finger to first finger, because a lot of my rudiments, they're in their own flow. When I do it on the piano, my flow runs into implosion. But here, when I turn this left hand over, now they're going up the scale. The same motion is just right there. And I just intuitively, I just know where I'm at. Boom. 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 I just know where I am. You know.
Oh, so. Is that instrument gonna be like? Are you ready to like play out with it, or you're still kind of developing it?
We're getting it ready because we got to finish building it.
Oh.
Yeah. We got to finish building. So the body is done, and it's ergonomic and it's elegant because I didn't want it to be bulky. I needed it to be right. So now we've got to get the circuit boards and all the pads mounted, and then program those circuit boards. So we're trying to get it ready for when the Flecktones go out. We do a small run in June. So I'm trying to get it ready for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a lot to do, but it's fun getting it ready. We're just getting all the pieces. Now we're on that's ready to be buffed and everything like that. And now we got to figure out how the plugs and stuff are coming out the side. It's just a lot of detail work now.
Yeah.
Circuit board.
Have you named it?
This one.
Or not yet?
AI named it the Wootenator.
The Wootenator.
Yeah, the AI wrote about it, right? They said, "Oh yeah, Futureman, check out this Chat GPT or whatever," right? Talk about Futureman and his new instrument, and yeah, the AI just went, yeah, such and such and such, and then the Wootenator. I was like, oh, okay, the Wootenator, right? But I may name it the Rukai for Ru and a Kai. It's like it's a name for this technique. And it's like treating it just like it's a little baby, you know what I mean? The name of a baby, just like a baby that you love, and you're gonna watch. We're gonna grow up together.
Yeah.
You know, with this new instrument. So Rukai is how I define the technique, where we're learning to go this way and the other way. Rukai, 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 and that makes it really personal.
Yeah.
And it's like you know, putting the love that you put for a baby into it to grow, you know. The baby starts off, you know, and then before you know it, it's like you're learning from the baby.
I love that.
Yeah, so this is a very personal, journey. And yeah, that's what's happening. But it's nice because the insights that I'm getting, I'm already able to share it with other musicians and stuff. Because when I'm sharing with other musicians, I'm just testing that this idea is not just for here. This is like a revelation. You know what I mean? Right. It's like a revelation that if you apply it to your instrument, whoa, you're going to be taken off too. Right. You know? So I have some of that already happening. It's really nice to see these ideas, not just on this instrument, but other places too. Yeah, so that's the journey, you know.
Thank you for sharing that. Oh
yeah. So these, I guess it's like the elixirs. Elixir is like understanding, the elixirs of understanding, right?
Yeah.
And we talk about elixirs of understanding. Now we're understanding music, not just a sound, but also as an architectural principle, right? And that architectural principle is probably the pen that's writing these patterns. The pen that makes those patterns is not a pen that we hold. It's a tone. That's already a riddle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I just showed you that design, you say, well, how did you make that design? I said, you'd never guess in a million years. It's so precise. It's like, well, you know, it's like crop circles.
Yeah.
You know, you see these crop circles. How you make that? You know, it's like people talking about, oh, I did this and I flattened the grass. I was like, no, man. This got something to do with frequency and language being perpetrated that we've got to now decipher. Right? So really, what I'm talking about is like, if you know the story of Champollion, and he's trying to decipher the Rosetta Stone. They're trying to figure out how Egyptian hieroglyphics, what they mean. And so there's this one stone, and they got 4 different languages saying the same thing. So they whoever wrote it is trying to show you what these hieroglyphics means, right? This is this language, this is this word, and these are the symbols, what it means, you know? And so it took Champollion to translate how to read the hieroglyphics. So what I'm saying is this. I'm showing you those symbols, but we don't know what those symbols mean. So let's imagine the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P. Okay, we know what those symbols mean. We know what they say. Right. But Spanish says it a different way with the same symbols. So if I see a page, and that page is Shakespeare, but it doesn't have any periods, you don't know what the words are, you don't know anything, and you don't know what the language is. But you're trying to transcribe what's being written right here. And I'm in French, and I'm trying to see my French words in there, but it's written in English. We could be looking at it's the same A, B, C, D, E, F, G. French uses it, Poland uses it with all them consonants in their language. That's a hard language, right? Spanish uses it, German uses it. You know, they're using the same alphabet. Right? So if we're looking at this information and we don't know the language and the system, we still think we know something, but we don't.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. In the beginning was the word, and we're seeing the word, but we have no idea what those things spell and what they mean.
Yeah. We're trying to look through the lens that's the familiar, but it's a universal lens, so you're not going to see your own words in it.
Yeah. Yeah. And how many languages can be made out of the English alphabet? A, B, C, D, F, G. How many languages are there? You know, Spanish, Polish, French, Dutch, German. They're all different using the same alphabet.
Yeah.
So we could be looking at a page of written word. And if we're looking at it in our language, we can never get it. Now, the point I'm making here is math would look at that page of language, and they'd be trying to figure out, well, how many times does the E repeat? You know, like when they look at irrational numbers, they go, well, there's no pattern. How many times is there T? There's no pattern. They're looking for patterns, so they're way off. They're way off the beaten path. If you're looking at a language trying to decipher the language, and you're trying to see how many times does D repeat, like you might not ever get there. To me, that's where math is. A lot of times they're so calculate, they're looking for patterns, and the pattern is not going to show up the way you're looking for it. The pattern might be poetry. You know, if it's hip hop, they're rhyming all the time. But if you don't know the language, you're not going to hear the rhyme. Right. If you're not going to hear. So the pattern is showing up in a way that you're not looking at it. So all I'm saying is, like, we can be seeing something, still be 10 times ignorant, still layers of ignorance to penetrate. So when we see these beautiful forms, and it's just one tone, it's not even 2 tones, because when you hit 2 tones, things start happening. Right. Stuff start looking like turtle shells and stuff. You start seeing zebra stripes and organic stuff going on.
Yeah.
See, I mean, you start seeing principles of life happening here. And I got one where the guy was showing these frequencies and makes the form of a human face. It's like, whoa, you see the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, and it's like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Multiple chordal frequencies. So now we're starting to get into, in the beginning was the word with these frequencies and what these frequencies mean. And if there is a pen, that pen is going to be rhythm. It's going to be frequency. That's the only way you're making anything. You know what I mean? You've got to have frequency is an organizing principle, just like magic. Yeah. Just like magic. See what I'm saying? So it's like wow, this stuff is just right in front of us, but it's like there's a symphony of understanding. And it's like when you're trying to grasp water, the more you try to grab it, the more the water leaves. You know, people trying to grasp understanding. I think I got it. And it just leaves. You like my grandmother said, you know, if you're trying to hold water, you got to hold your hand open, not closed. You know what I mean? You got to have your hand open so that the water can cup in there and show you something, you know? And I feel like that's kind of the journey and the softness in the journey. And just yesterday, I was on a panel and we talked about this subject. When drummers were women. Powerful subject. And what?
Great book. I'm gonna write it down.
yeah. And I'll send you in the link. I'll send you a link to our talk. It was on the Planetary Gig Society, and we talked with ladies who had studied with this lady who wrote the book, Lane Redmond, Layne Redmond, Redmond. When the Drummers Were Women. In case this is a video, that's the name of the book that we're talking about. And we had a great panel talk about this, and it talked about how women drummers, angel drummers, and this whole principle of in the beginning was the word, this whole principle. And so I shared this image while we were on yesterday, and this is a picture of the mother and the baby Jesus. And in here they are, right? Surrounding them, these are all angels, and they all playing music instruments. They're all playing musical instruments. And look at the baby Jesus. In his hands, he's shaking rattles.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Now let's see if we can tune in and go close into these angels and see if you can see some of these instruments. See if I can get close enough where you can see something. There's a harp right there.
See that?
But all of them got instruments. There's some kind of cool instrument there at the bottom right there, right here.
Yeah.
He's got some kind of instrument. There's some kind of string instrument. Over here, I think there's a drum on this side here. There's the drum.
I see it.
That's some kind of instrument right there. See that stringed instrument?
Yeah.
Right, but what's being said in this picture? See what I mean? In the beginning was the frequency, right? This implies that the frequency wasn't chaotic.
Right, it was all
musical, symphonic.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Like there's order to they're making frequency. They're talking about frequency, and they're all musical instrument, and the baby's doing rattles. And not only is the baby doing rattles, but I'm trying to think where's the picture that I want to show you. Where's the picture? I got a cool picture. Where is that thing? Where is that picture? Let me just see if this picture is right here. Give me just a second. I want to see. Is that picture here? Basically, I'm trying to find this picture of Krishna. But anyway, while I'm here, let me just show you this. Okay? These are pictures where they're hitting more than one frequency. And it's starting to get these kind of patterns that look like turtle shells. And they're starting to look like patterns of nature. These are more than one frequency. They start hitting 2 and 3 frequencies, and they start getting these patterns that start looking like zebra stripes and stuff.
So is that maybe saying the idea that like when frequencies combine, they create matter?
It might be implying that, and forms.
And forms, right.
And forms, yeah. And forms, you know. But look just how precise that is. That's so precise. And you see Buddhist people holding amulets and stuff that have these kind of curvular things in it.
Yeah.
It's so precise, just like a hymn, you know. And so now look at this right here. Now, every time you look at a church is going to have a round thing that's got a cymatic type pattern in there. Those people making those stone churches understood something, you know. They have these type of patterns in the churches, in the windows. and they have the light coming through, but you start seeing all these patterns where
Yeah.
they're understanding something. But that's how precise is that?
Wow.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's what in the beginning of every religion is talking about. In the beginning of every religion is the Om, is the sound, is the word, is the song, is the is the something related that goes back to frequency.
Yeah.
That was the turtle shell that I wanted to show you.
Wow.
There's the cymatics over here, and there's the turtle shell over here. See what I'm saying? So it's implying that frequency and order and matter are according to some hidden principles that we're not aware of, that we're not
becoming aware of, maybe.
That we're not fully cognizant
not
of.
Fully, right.
Yeah. Not fully cognizant. And man, I just wish I could find this picture that I'm looking for. I can't remember where it is.
Oh,
it's a picture of Krishna.
Yeah.
And Krishna's the Krishna that does this dance. I had it right here yesterday for the interview, and now I'm not sure where I put it. Wait a minute. It might be here. Hold on. But basically, I wanted to show you this picture because in that picture of Mary that I'm showing you just now, the baby's in the same position of the Krishna dance. So let me at least show you that, right?
Yeah.
So the baby in this picture is in the exact position of the Krishna dance, right? The arms go out and the leg goes across. And in the Krishna, they have this thing that goes around, and the Krishna is dancing in that position right there, right? So it's shaking rattles, right? And there's one of the angels that's shaking rattles back to him. This one right here. And they make it so that you don't miss it. Watch this. They got this one popped out.
Oh, yeah.
They got the rattle popped out so you don't miss it, right? That angel's shaking rattles right back to him.
Wow.
Rattles.
So symbolic. I mean, it's incredible.
Right. So now this is starting to get into, in the beginning is the word, and the word was this, right? Now science says in the beginning was a big bang, boom, like, dynamite or something. And that's cool, but it's not cool enough, right? Because what happens is creation of stuff it comes from a burst that's more like an orgasm than an explosion of dynamite. See what I'm saying? We're talking about orgasmic principles now, right? Now we can start science more like that. But if we say it like that, you got to know something had the orgasm. See what I'm saying? We're talking about the womb now.
Yeah.
The womb of creation. In the Bible, in the creation, it always says the light came out of the darkness. You know what I mean? We're talking about the womb of creation now. And so even in your beginning, it's not the beginning. But when I say an orgasm, we got the explosion. But it's not dynamite in nature. Right. That explosion is creating organized stuff. And it's creating organisms that also have orgasms. See what I'm saying? Like what happens in the big happens in the smallest thing. Yeah. It's inside that person. This principle right here, right? It's showing you order. That's on the order of music. These are angels, man. What? I want to hear that. I want to hear what they playing and how they got their instruments tuned.
Right.
I want to hear what's going on. But anyway, wow, there's a picture of Krishna. And what I'll do is I'm going to find the picture, take a picture, and text you the picture.
Yeah, text me it.
Because you got to remember this image of the baby, right? The baby's in the exact position that Krishna is doing. Krishna is doing that dance of creation and destruction. It's the same.
Oh, yeah.
Dance.
Is it the Shiva Nataraj? Is that?
Yes. Yeah. I'm saying Krishna, but it's Shiva. Yeah.
Nataraj. It's the dance of destruction and creation.
Right. You know how the leg goes to the side and the elbows are up, just like the baby.
Right. As I was looking at that, I'm like, I wonder if that's what he's talking about.
That's it. That's it. It's exactly that. So now, what is being said in this picture right here?
Right.
In the beginning was much more than we know.
Gosh. There's so much to that. Do you know who that artist is?
I don't know, but this is old.
Yeah. But there's so many depictions of that, I mean, that's just one example of that. Like you're saying, in everything.
Yeah, so now just remember, now when you look at that picture of Krishna, you'll see that it took me a while to notice. Oh, look at that! Look at how the baby's dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
yes. But so we're talking universal stuff here. And in the
right.
beginning, that all in every beginning of every story, creation story, it's pointing to that frequency phenomenon. And whatever that frequency phenomenon is, was with God, and it was God. You know what I mean? It was with the creator, the creative principle, and it was the creative principle.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a type of consciousness to it. There's a whole thing to it. Now the Dogon priests say that the way we know our instruments, like you said, what do I call my instrument? Rukai.
Right.
Right? They say you think that instrument is inanimate, but it has a consciousness. They say our chairs and stuff, when we sit on, they got a little conscious, not like yours, but there's something there, right? Mm-hmm. So the Dogon priests, they taught Stephen Jay, who's a bass player for Weird Al, right? He studied with the Dogon priests in Mali. And the Dogon priest is the one that told us about Sirius A, Sirius B, and Sirius C before our telescopes proved that they were there. Our astronomy didn't know that those were there, but they knew all about them. Knew how this was one of the heaviest substances and everything. So they said that music is kind of like this conscious force of this God principle that everybody's talking about, was like music. And said that music knows you the same way you know your instrument.
Oh, I love
right? That. And the same way your instrument doesn't know you the way you know your instrument is the same way you don't know the music and the creative principle that knows you the way you don't know it. Yeah. That was it was like a beautiful ratio, right? You play your guitar, you know what's up, right? The guitar knows there's music. It's like we know there's wind happening. The wind just rises up from somewhere. Imagine that's music. We don't know really why and where and what. We just know it's happening, right? But there's a principle that knows you more than you know it.
Whoa!
And that was the ratio. Yeah. So that's the beauty of the journey. Some of the beauty of the journey is just realizing you don't know. Yeah. If you can just get into that place where you just go, okay, I know that I don't know. That's a beautiful place to be. But our instinct wants to know. Right. Our instinct wants to say, oh, I got this. I know what this is. I know what deja vu is. I bet you don't know what deja vu is. If we didn't have a word for deja vu, we'd be trying to describe what's going on. We don't know what it is. What does that mean about time? You know? Yeah. You know? It's just like not knowing, right? So I'm sitting around, man. I got an uncle, and I'm sending good energy to my Uncle Woody, but he's never been able to wear a watch. He says, don't get him a nice watch, because when he puts a watch on, it loses its time. The time goes off, right? Right. So I'm telling my brother about it, and they say, yeah, I can't wear a watch either. I'm like, wait a minute, hold it. I've known him all my life, man. He can't wear a watch either. So I'm telling my brother Joe, and my brother Joe said the same thing. I can't wear a watch either. That's why he likes pocket watches. The time goes off if they wear it. The quartz, it loses its time. Whoa. So I'm telling my friend Demetria, and she can't wear a watch either. I'm like, hold it. We got a whole class of people that can't wear a watch, and there's no word for it.
What? I need to see. I can wear a watch. I need to see if I can wear a watch.
I know. Right. The time goes off when they wear the watch. So they, you just don't get me a good watch because it's going to go off time. I say, oh, hold it. Now, we got a whole class of people that there's no word for them. Wow. And what is actually happening? What is it about their etheric, or what's happening about their aura or something that's affecting the accuracy of that quartz crystal or whatever being able to do accurately? What's going on? Yeah. That's that place where I'm saying we don't know so much. And if we know that we don't know, it's something that does know can whisper. Right. You know what I mean? It's just like when I saw the melody in speaking words. Yeah. Every time we're writing a melody, and we don't even know it. Because it would be hard not to talk and keep your pitch straight the whole time. It would be hard if you tried not to. It would just be hard to hold the pitch and never move it. And when you do, it has a natural music flow. Right. You can't help it. And that's that you can't help it part of music. You know? It's just right there. So now we start listening to the music of people speaking. You listen to Martin Luther King, and he's speaking in the blues the whole time. But he's not hitting the blue notes. There's more blue notes that he's hitting. You know what I mean? So I can teach you the blues without teaching you the scale. I just listen to everything that Maya Angelou says. Everything she says is the blues. If you know who Maya Angelou is, you know what I mean? Such and such on this morning here. You know what I mean? Here. I mean, it's just blues dripping off like honey everywhere. But it's not on the piano.
Right.
You know?
Oh, that's
right. So it's this childhood place where we don't know. And that's the spirit where I'm coming. You know what I mean? Yeah, I just like you. It's that question you asked in the beginning. You know, what's your early memory of music? It's trying to keep that, whatever that magic was in the beginning, trying to keep that same thing, and that whatever same thing is taking me on a journey, letting me see more and more. And along the way, I get a chance to stand on the shoulders of great people. See what I'm saying? Master Henry Gibson. Now I'm standing on his shoulders, man. It's like, dude, what you did with them bongos, man? Do playing melodies. And Curtis and them would just back up and give him the stage and let him go. And he wouldn't take a normal drum solo. He'd take a melody solo and pull you along that journey. And so because he was a drummer, his melody solos was different than a bass solo. It was different than a piano solo. It was different. It had a drum thing about it. And that thing is like, I've been on that since then. Yeah. And I'm finally with like this new instrument getting ready to like really get into it. Because even everything I've done with the Flecktones, drum-wise, it still I'm just learning how to play drums. But now I want to learn how to get to the melody. That's the next, whoa. Right? So I'm already on that journey because all the symphonic music that I've done. I've done symphonic music that's an homage to the Chevalier St. George, who was known as the Black Mozart, the American. He's mixed race. Yeah. He was the greatest sword fighter, the greatest conductor. He conducted Haydn's Paris symphonies. That's where classical music knows him. You don't know him, but you do know him because everybody knows the Paris symphonies. But Chevalier St. George paid Haydn. As soon as Haydn was finished with his deal with Prince Esterhazy, that was over. Chevalier St. George was on him like this to write for his great orchestra in France. And what he wrote was bigger than anything he had written with the Prince Esterhazy. It was always small quartet kind of stuff. But here he's writing for an 80-piece orchestra, like what we know today. And Haydn just went off, man. It became Paris symphonies. And it was a huge success during that time. But the Chevalier St. George conducted it. And that established him as the greatest conductor of all of Europe. Now, you go to classical school, you're not even going to learn that. You know, you're not even going to learn that. He was the greatest conductor of Europe after that because he also established that orchestra with the subscription model, which is what we do now. The orchestra uses a subscription model. And that subscription model was huge because before that, orchestras were sponsored by kings and queens. Oh. And so their favorite people would be in there and the orchestra level was just sagging. You know what I mean? It wasn't that good. But as soon as they went to the subscription model, now kings and queens weren't sponsoring the thing. So they can't have Salieri trying to keep Mozart down because, you know, I'm going to hire my people and keep the best people out. It's not going to be like that anymore. Yeah. Subscription model. And so that's what he was doing when Haydn was writing the Paris symphonies, high level. Mozart is having his pieces and he's conducting Mozart and he has pieces on the concert. This is a different kind of thing. My music that I've composed for him was on my piano. So I'm already getting into the melody. Now, the part that I haven't told you is when I'm playing the piano, I'm using dynamics to change the pitches. So if I hit soft, I get one note. I hit a little bit harder, it changes to another note. I hit a little bit harder, it changes to another note. And I hit the very top, it gives me the octave of the first note. So it's basically a 3-note spread. 3-note spreads, depending on how I hit it. Wow. And that, I'm using that just like trumpet armature. I hit one note here with a low armature. When I say armature, the tightness of your lip. You get a low note. You know, you can get an F, a B, a D, you know, and the note changes on one key depending on the armature. So I'm using dynamics like armature to change the pitches. And that's what's going to get me to the artatum, and that's what's going to get me there. And so with that, when I just pulse rhythms and stuff, boom, bum, boom, bum, and I just place the notes on notes that work all the way up, there's thematic material is just coming out. even before I know what it is, it's coming out. I just had the presence of mind to run the recording before I would start working on it, and these whole ideas were coming through that became the symphonic work of the piece that I have dedicated to Chevalier St. George. All the violin parts came like that. So I'm already on the melody, right? I'm already there, right? All the violin parts came from what I played. Because they asked me, man, how did you come up with that? It's like, nobody writes like that, right? So I did a whole symphonic work like that, and then there was a whole symphonic work, The Secret of Kings. That's an homage to the Comte de Saint Germain, the most mysterious person of all time, you know? So, right, and then with my new instrument, I'm gonna be able to come out front like the violinist and treat it like a concerto.
Yes.
See, now I'm just placing the icing on top of the cake. That's what I'm in the process of doing.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, yeah. So anyway, that's a little bit of the journey. It's not just to why are you doing that? You know, let's like I'm really on this journey, and I'm letting music.
You're keeping your hands open. You know,
I'm keeping my hands open, man. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't even know. Even when I did my first Drumitar, it was 1985.
Yeah.
1985 when I did my first one. So many years later, I finally know what's going on. You know, but even when I did the first one, I knew, I said, I won't understand this until 10 years later. And in 1995, I was building my first piano. Right? In 1995, this picture is 1995. My first piano's getting built.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my
right. God. Right. That's 10 years later. And so now, so many years later, that piano, I'm taking what I know from that piano and I'm adding what I know now. So this is 1985. We did an interview with my first instrument. You know what I mean? That's 85, right? And then so many years later, I'm going to show you a picture of this instrument, what I know now, sitting on top of the piano. So, if I can find it. But it's like I've really distilled and understand something so many years later.
And it's important, I think, to allow for time to, you know, for stuff not to be so instant, but to give yourself that time to understand it.
You know? Yeah, I think I was the guy that just wasn't gonna let go, right? So, yeah, you can see the piano. Yeah. There's that piano that you saw painted. It's what you just saw, but that's it painted.
Oh, cool.
And those are the 6 rows of keys. But over time, I learned how to stair step those keys, which put them more narrow. That's what I did on my second keyboard. Now I've got what I learned on my second keyboard in both of these. Yeah. They're even more narrow and they're arched like scallop. 3 here, 3 there. And I'm raking all the way through. So everything that I know there, I've got this poured into this instrument.
Wow.
Right. So that's the journey.
Yeah.
You know? That's the journey. It's like it's small and I can carry it with me. I can I'm really anchoring into that melody, you know? Wow. So yeah. That's the journey, you know. There's another one you can kind of see what's going on.
Right. Oh, that's
really so there's some of the elixir, you know.
Yeah,
Excalibur.
Wow. All right. So at the end of each episode, I ask 3 random questions to just answer as you can. I'm so interested to hear what you're going to say. All right. So the first one is, if you were a plant, what plant would you be and why?
Maybe violet. Something about the color purple. It's like this something about the color purple, violet.
Yeah. I love violets. I have them growing on my patio. They're edible flowers too, you know. Which is
yeah, something about the color purple, because I mean I've learned a lot about Le Comte de Saint Germain, and there's something about that royal purple and learning about him. So that was the first thing came to mind.
Love it. All right, second one. What sound do you love?
Oh, what sound do I love? The sound of the ocean. a lot of times. That white noise of the ocean.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
sometimes when we're on tour, I was just recently in Florida, and I just got out, and whoa, I could hear that. It's like living water. Water's so alive, and it's just making this, and that is a very calming thing. The sound of the ocean.
Yeah, I can relate.
It's like even a cat purring too is a great sound. A cat purring, you know, that whatever that is, that
Internal, yeah.
that internal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a cat?
No, but when I was a kid, I had a very favorite cat,
Oh,
and we were just close. Yeah.
yeah. Aw. All right, the last one, and we've really talked so much about this answer, but what do you know for sure?
What do I know for sure? Almost how to play this instrument. Yeah, right. But basically, because when I started the first Drumitar, it's like I was gonna try to play the drums. Like I want to, when I'm doing it, I want to see if I can actually play the drums,
Yeah,
right? And when I did that instrument I showed you, I couldn't play all the drums here. I had to
right.
play some of them here and some of them live. I couldn't get them all there. Then when I met Béla, my whole goal was learn to play all the drums here.
Yeah,
And it's like I didn't know for sure that I could do it. But
yeah,
now I know for sure that I can do it and I can take it to the melody.
yeah.
That I know for sure.
Uh,
Right? It's not, you know what I mean? Like I know for sure I passed all the tests. See what I'm saying? It's like, whoa, I did that test. And that first instrument I showed you was never actually, I was just supposed to do that in the garage. This is my
mhm.
personal experiment. But for some reason I cannot keep it in the garage. Somebody saw the video and said, I need that in my band. So I
Yeah,
took the opportunity, I played that. And then when Béla called me, I was just getting the syntax version.
yeah,
And again, what do I know for sure? I was like, man, Béla, I know this instrument works, but I don't know if it works if I fly. And by the time I get to you, it might be destroyed. You know what I mean? The airport might destroy it. So I don't know for sure that it's gonna work. And so he was like, okay, cool. You know how to play drums. So if it doesn't work, I'll just play drums. Cool. Right. So now with this instrument, I know that I can play drums from all the records that I've done. There's a bunch of Grammy Awards that we've won along the way. We
yeah.
won a Miles Davis Award, and we were the only band to win this award. That's an individual award because Miles Davis was great
Yeah.
solos, but he had great bands. But we're the only band where every member in the band got the award. That's
Wow.
never been done before. Maybe it's never going to be done again. But I'm just saying we're experimenting at that level. So these experiments, I know that I can play the drums like this. Now I know even before I do it that I'm going to play the melody on this thing because I've already done it on my keyboards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've already done it on the keyboards. I've already wrote all of these orchestral parts. Every drop of the violin parts was done by my fingers.
Yeah.
Every drop. All we did was just came out so good. We put it together and we orchestrated it. Right? So now I'm getting ready to give you the melody part. Like, with all of that technique that I'm telling you about.
Yeah.
Very piano technique, but going back both ways. This is the thing that I know. This is not guesswork now. It's just now just shaping reality to accept what I know,
Yeah.
and take you on the journey. And along the way, I'm sharing it with guitar players and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm showing it with drummers. Like there's a lot of drummers who study drums and they never could get the bounce. So if you can't get your sticks bouncing, you never get to the idea. But I can show you how to get the sticks rumbling without having the bounce.
Yeah.
Now we can get to the ideas and what the rudiments do, So that's one thing that I do know. And one thing I do know too is that I don't know stuff.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing to know that you don't know. See what I'm saying? Like when I look at a cloud, right? We look at the clouds, we see them all the time. But you don't know that you don't know what's going on because the clouds are defying the law of Newton's law where something's supposed to slowly sink.
Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't be floating in the air like that. Right? And I've known for a long time that I didn't understand. I don't understand. How does all of that water come out of that and they floating in the air and pounds of water come out of there and they still floating in the air? It's defying some laws of physics that the way we know them.
Yeah.
And I saw a documentary that said that and it confirmed what I knew that I didn't know. And because they said they don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes it's nice to know that you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know. How does a caterpillar change to a butterfly? Now, you know I don't know. But science is going to try to explain it. Oh, yeah, it's because, no, you don't know.
Yeah.
That's the true answer. You don't know, But the part that you don't know is that you got to learn what you don't know. You're not supposed to help the caterpillar get out of the chrysalis, because the struggle is what strengthens the wings. If you pull it out, that thing cannot fly.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? So not knowing is a beautiful state, because it's like, man, I'm just looking at this and I just don't know. How does a tree get the water all the way from the bottom root all the way to the top leaf? They're studying that in plumbing. Man, if we could make plumbing work like that.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah.
So anyway,
yeah.
So I do know that I don't know too.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. Right.
So, do you have any upcoming shows you guys are going on tour, or how can people listening to this connect with you through social media? Or
one of my best places to connect with me is where I talk about some of this stuff is my Facebook Rhythm Hackers group. Rhythm Hackers group. I have a Facebook page, Roy Wooten. Roy Futureman Wooten is I have also a Facebook page, Roy Futureman Wooten. So I have a Roy Wooten page and a Roy Futureman Wooten page. And Instagram, Roy Futureman Wooten. I had a TikTok, man. You got to be careful with TikTok, because you know how sometimes on your phone and your app, you sideline your app for a minute because your phone gets full. If you sideline TikTok, you got to start all over.
Oh,
TikTok, it's like
you got to start on TikTok yet, but that's good to know.
That's good to know, because see, a lot of times people are piling up videos and they haven't put them on there yet.
Right.
But if for some reason you go offline, it's like TikTok. It's like brand new. They say TikTok's trying to discourage you from getting you off your phone. So so it's like, wow, man. It's like, what happened? They don't even know me. It's like, okay, right. But anyway, I'll be on TikTok sometime, and
then
that's
you're going on tour, right? Or are those?
Yeah, the Wooten brothers. Look out for the Wooten brothers.
Nice.
Are touring 1st of April. We'll be doing dates, and then a lot of people. Then with the Flecktones, Béla Fleck and the Flecktones. So we haven't toured since before COVID. Like a couple of years, we were getting ready to go, and everything got canceled. And so it's been a couple of years since we came. So, but we're having a Flecktones reunion tour. It's going to be short, June 11th through the 15th, I think. We end in Telluride, Colorado.
June 11th through the 15th, 4 days?
Yeah. Yes, not long. I mean, but if everything goes good, there'll probably be more.
Yeah.
But that's all there is right now.
Yeah.
Right? It's short and sweet. And right now it's we're going to be doing Fort Wayne, Indiana on June the 10th.
Nice.
And that is the Clyde Theater in Fort Wayne, Indiana on June 10th. Then we're in Milwaukee at the Pabst Theater on the 11th. Then we're at Kansas City, Missouri at the Kauffman Center on the 12th. On the 13th, we're in Oak City, Oklahoma at the Tower Theater.
Nice. And
then the 14th, we're at the Linsick Performing Arts Center in Santa Fe. Nice. And then the 15th, we'll be in Telluride, Colorado at that big bluegrass music festival. Mm-hmm. And the Wooten brothers go out. We start April 1st somewhere in Philly or Pennsylvania or something like that. I don't have those dates in front of me right now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll check it out.
So we'll be getting around this year.
Awesome. Well, I hope to see you at one of those shows for sure.
Yeah, yes, definitely.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your stories. I'm just so inspired, and I'm going to have to listen to this again and soak it all in again, because thank you. I just am always.
Well, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Keep spreading that elixir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right.
Have a great rest of your day.
All right, you too. Take care.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Be sure to check out the notes for each show to stay connected with guests, for journaling prompts to dive deeper, and any links to resources and offerings. Until next time.